they're a good team, and I think for us, if we beat them and we get this spot for World, that way we actually prove that we are a good team and that we actually deserve to go there because we beat them. So I think if we manage to play against a strong team in the finals and we can win that way, I think it can prove a lot for ourselves.
The team's got a lot to prove after going down 0-1 in the series. Welcome back to European Regional Qualifier, where Origen is 1-0 up against the Unicorns of Love in our first game of the day. Before we get into game 2, keep an eye on the client coming September 8th. That's when those 5 new project skins will hit the Summoner's Rift. As we've mentioned a few times, they've got those unique spell animations, they've got particle effects, they've also got the possibility to give you those super cool project minions. If you coordinate skins with your team, you'll see those Bionicle minions in just a second. Check out leagueoflegends.com for all of the information and details. While we jump back into our regional qualifier finals between UOL and Origen. Origen now blue side. Pick some bans. We saw Callista, Lulu, and Fizz banned by Unicorns in game 1. Not expecting those to change, but if they do,
yeah,
what possibilities does it open up for Origen, who are blue side, to Fisher?
Well, the thing for Origen here is, as long as they ban smart and remove some OPs as well, they should be able to put themselves in a situation where there's just one clear-cut pick they want. Like, let's say they ban the Braum, they set up for Gangplank first pick, as an example. But if they leave both open, suddenly Unicorns will be able to trade, and that's what Origen wants to avoid now here on blue side.
I think definitely touching back on what we talked about earlier is that Morgana ban. I think you can let that go for Origen, especially now that you're switching sides. And honestly, I would like to see them target Maokai on Vizicsacsi. He's a tank player, and I think Nautilus is just a way worse version in terms of what he brings to the table than Maokai. I don't know what else Vizicsacsi is going to play if you get rid of the Gangplank too. If
Poppy?
you get Soas, yeah. All right, but then you're back.
Talk about killing the mood.
Ban the Poppy as well.
Then you're back to the old drafting phase of the Unicorns, where they're not playing meta. One possible target you could do is Sivir 2. Origen don't even have to worry about Callista. Even if it's left open, they can leave it until a later rotation, because Vardex has shown that he's just not the best on that champion.
And that really is the problem here for Unicorns of Love. And the thing is, the reason teams want to be on blue side, something we talked about yesterday, is because, again, when there's all these OP picks on the blue side, you want to get rid of as many as possible so that there's one pick left for you. You can more target ban on the red side, so that would remove the Morgana, but we have to see what Origen decides to do. It can also just be a respect one against Hylissang because he's been so good on this champion beforehand.
Well, gentlemen, the Origen analysts and coaches do not agree with the Morgana not being banned with you. They've taken out, along with the Varus, that is an adaptation. Braum is up, GP is up, Lulu was up, Fizz as well. So
this should be a next
some
ban.
of the important ones.
Origen needs to be careful with the last ban, because right now they're leaving all these very strong picks, the Braum, the Gangplank, meaning Unicorn should be able to get 2 of them for the price of 1 on the side of Origen. They do ban Gangplank, so Fizz is open for them. They don't have to early pick it, because we haven't seen Unicorn show it yet.
I think this will be a Braum first pick for Origen, because at least, even if the Fizz is better, Fizz is 9-0 so far on 5.14 in playoffs, you still need to at least let the Unicorns show that they can play it. You have 1 game lead, you can experiment a little, and there's nothing that could technically go wrong at the bottom side of the map when you play Braum.
And that's why I'm a little bit surprised that Gangplank was the last ban for Unicorns, because it simply meant for Origen, they could go for 3 target bans and then don't have to worry about how many things they would give away, because I know Azir lost, or well, gave away a few kills, but that was due to mispositioning, not the matchup itself, so that is still available for Origen if Victor gets early locked in from Power of Evil.
This Gangplank last ban makes it that you trade inefficiently, but it does indicate that the Unicorns of Love say, well, we just simply don't have any, not even counter, we don't even have anything that can go even against the Gangplank in lane.
Very, very, very true, because again, Fizz, we haven't seen it. Riven, we haven't seen from Chachi. And
doesn't strike me as Vizicsacsi at all.
He wants the tanks, but now again also on the side of Unicorns of Love, you steal away Tristana. I like that. What Nils would normally do then is just go for the Corki pick and say, you know what, I'm just going to get a little bit more mid-game impact in that case. But you can still run like a protector AD carry composition. You have the Braum. Gragas is available if you want to have more protection as well.
Well, we'll find out. I know we debated the Elise versus Gragas jungle matchup even after
I'm on Gragas' side.
Well, let's see. Amazing is both all the options. With Tristana off the table, with Sivir Callista banned away, Niels is also going to have his champion pool pressed a little bit. Has defaulted to Corki if you wanted to go for the more generic pick. But if you wanted the safety of scaling, Kog'Maw is an option.
Yeah, because Unicorns right now are really going to look to scale into the late game with Tristana and Victor. And yet they don't have a weak early game either. Fine laning phase is even a strong one we can say for Tristana. Good tower pushing abilities. A lot of things you can do with these 2 early picks. Now, of course, with Elise taken, we expect the Gragas for Horo again, and maybe Alistar from Hylissang, and we get close to the same kind of composition for Unicorns.
I wish Xpeke or Soaz played Yasuo. I just really like it combined with Braum into a Victor, into a Tristana, because they're so projectile-based that you can really counter them in certain matchups.
Look what Unicorns are doing, though. Not the Tahm Kench, but the Annie pick, even though it's still a hopper for them. With Origen now having a hyper carry again with low mobility, we might see them change it up a little bit now that Sivir is being banned away and say, okay, we need guaranteed engage. We don't get the same mobility as we had in the last game, so we need to flash tippers instead to start these fights and catch out Origen, who were very often in the wrong position.
And if they want to round out the team composition, Unicorns could once again go for that Maokai top. Would fit in with that style. Hard engage with the Annie as well. But for Origen, technically Kog'Maw is still a flex, even though we've not seen Peke run in the mid lane and it has fallen out of favor. But we talked about so much of versatile flex picks coming into playoffs. How do they round out their comp?
I think Origen could do what they did yesterday, Game 5 against Rocket, and just simply steal the Maokai away.
Yeah, Maokai Zia right here would be just fine for Origen.
I think it's an incredibly good option to protect the Kog'Maw. Peke could even play something else. If he wants more aggression, he could go for Ahri. Maybe add a skirmish component. I don't think he needs to. I think the sheer amount of zone control out of his Zir should be plenty.
You can still fizz as well, though. If you expect Maokai to come in on the other side, that's a great matchup for you.
Correct.
Especially once you start getting towards level 6 and you become the split pushing threat. But then obviously your entire composition will no longer be based around protecting the AD carry, which might be what they're looking for instead. And it looks like it's going to be a mid lane, and then we get that Corki for Nils we mentioned earlier.
Unless you take a page out of Nukeduck's book. Corki AD carry, Corki mid, and then Kog'Maw AD carry.
Long range poke, though, is very good against Victor. It's always been one of the problems for Victor and Azir, is like the long range poke machines, even though they've slightly fallen a little bit out of favor outside of maybe Varus, is that you can't get your mass amount of burst because they're just standing so far back, hitting you again and again and again. So Origen drafting a poke composition after the see the Victor come in, after the see Tristana, so Unicorns don't really run a whole lot of poke. But if they get close enough to start the fight with this Annie, they have enough damage to take it down Origen.
And I want to see if Izichachi be able to recover from his Maokai being able to be picked away, especially this late. Unicorns of Love, leaving him a 5th pick counter pick yesterday, that was a Nautilus, but it didn't pay off at all. They didn't prioritize the Maokai early at all.
He could Gnar if he wants to win the matchup. Yeah, I mean, this is the only way for him really to start taking over that matchup and becoming a little bit of a split pushing threat. But then we just got to see Unicorns now show coordination, because you need to have that flash tippers timed with the TP of a Mega Gnar coming in for them to get onto this backline of Origen, because there are enough threats and it can be very difficult for Unicorns. But I feel like just by having Annie, it's almost guaranteed enough to always start the fights and get Victor and Tristana in position to deal damage.
But this is the second time in a row that I like the Unicorns composition. It has a clear identity, a clear purpose. They've played to the strengths last game at times. They didn't do it consistently, but they've shown improvement. So they did use their practice time. And Horo looked better than he did in playoffs.
And I also like some of the growth from Origen as well. 2 Maokai games, first time all summer for Soaz, both times denying it from respective opponents to help his own team's picks and bans. I want to see Pekka on this Kog'Maw. He got punished for poor positioning in game 1.
Yeah.
It's going to be even more painful on a Kog'Maw in game 2.
I'm honestly not a fan of their comp. I think it's way too magic damage heavy. And I think once you've already seen the Annie Gragas, there's enough tools to start fights reliably from the side of Unicorns of Love that running a poke comp is very risky. And your Braum, while he's fantastic when targets run at you, he's not hard disengaged like a Janna coming in there, so risky.
And I also remember Hylissang's Annie from quarterfinals against Rocket, roaming to help out all over the map. Hylissang can read the map relatively well, so it's going to be some pressure for Origen to avoid the pressure from the Unicorns of Love. We are in the European Regional Qualifier Finals. The winner of this series will be one more team going to Worlds. And will it be Origen or the Unicorns of Love? We'll find out once a team gets to 3 wins.
That is usually
where it ends. Yeah, that's pretty much where it ends.
I want to see if Varus can hyper carry, because we've criticized him before. He does go even out in lane. He did decently well in Sivir last game, but can he play at Tristana the way Niels does it, playing at the front line, being comfortable enough to sidestep skill shots and then turn on the aggression?
And it's very fun when we see Unicorns finally put him on a hyper carry. There's no help. I mean, there's nobody here to buff him up. There's no Lulu. There's not going to be anything really to protect
the water.
Vardax. It's kind of like Vardax, go solo carry right now. where we see a lot of the other teams now, especially here in playoffs, where the meta has shifted a little bit more towards the AD carries. They have like these Lulu comps where they really protect and buff him up an early Harbinger to get more crit. Not sure Vardax is going to get the same help.
Yeah, he doesn't really get the support treatment. His support is literally flashing away from him to land a Tibbers.
Yeah.
Top lane is porting behind the enemy team. Body slam flash forward. Power Weevil is not even looking at him. So he does get the freedom. That offensive zone does get him the freedom to position aggressively. But if he gets hit by one skill shot, which Origen have plenty of, because we say this poke comp, what I like about Braum, and now people are getting tired, crap, you really like Braum, is that his Q, if you connect it, it just facilitates the next poke. You know, Cocoon is easy to land on a 40% slow target. Corky Rock is easy to land. Kog'Maw can land additional pokes. So one guy gets hit, he's going to get blown up. And that's something we need to watch for, especially in these team fights. And then, of course, Unicorns will want to counter-engage.
You don't even have to aim that Q if Soaz is going to be able to get the same deep vision and the same teleports that we've seen punished against Origen.
Well, you want him to do everything?
Of course. If Origen get the same deep vision they had from the previous game in the first 20 minutes with the Maokai, there's going to be even more opportunity for them to combo.
So, both the dual lanes going towards the top side of the map. Double range on the side of Unicorns, and of course Hillsang looking to be very aggressive early on in the lane, and Mithy will return. So, slight push advantage, I was about to say, and then it gets even out instantly by Mithy.
Yeah, push is definitely on the side of the double range, so this matchup should play out. What they call AFK push. However, you can't really deny too much as Tristana. Once you skill E, these minions get blown up, so this lane will go on in pretty predictable fashion unless some really hard level 2 all-in engage comes out, but I doubt it.
And we do see their standard start for both top laners. You take the camp, get the level 2 source, was very fast and already shoving in the wave to Visichachi. So once again, Origen at least has 2 of the lanes pushing. Mid lane right now is in favor of Peku in terms of the early push at least.
And let's keep an eye on the junglers interaction. Amazing on this Elise versus Horror and Gragas. If the game goes late, we already know that tankiness and the utility Gragas brings is going to be infinitely more valuable than the single target Cocoon. But Amazing did show in the previous game he helped out a little. Not a massive amount, but he was where Origen needed him to be, and they got an advantage for Niels' lane.
Yeah, and this is the thing about Elise compared to, let's say, another early game jungler like Nidalee, who really needs to get going to have a massive impact. Nidalee will never go for Locket. Rarely we're going to see Sidestone. Elise can do that. She will become a bit of a utility bot in the late game, and at least add some value. Early Rift Scuttler from both people. No surprise here, each taking over one side of the map again.
I've been looking at the way Origen have been controlling their waves, so they let top lane push easily. Peke pushed in early, then bounces back, so they deny Horror potential gank. Soaz is doing the same thing, push it in, letting it bounce back, and an amazing tap to the bottom lane. It's almost impossible for Gragas to dive top. Peke can play safe enough, so Origen should have their bases covered on multiple lanes, unless they let or allow Horror to sneak in a brush somewhere in lane. So overall, they're playing pretty safe.
And it's not going to be a problem for Niels to sit and last it on the tower as a Corki. Also with Braum and the Relic Shield stack. So Horror right now, once again, putting his focus on the top side, but that lane is going to slowly but surely push towards Origen again and again and again. Oh, now?
Tristana can't freeze.
Yeah, they're trying, but then you see the minions die to the explosion and you cry.
Something you can do is literally give CS to your support to avoid an AoE explosion, stack 2 or 3 creeps to let the wave stack up very big, and then share the creeps just to control the lane and abuse and deny CS that way. But that's something we very rarely see at the highest level.
Taking a look at those stats really quickly, 7 games of Mithy's played on Braum.
Amazing his bottom lane.
I will finish the story in a moment though, as they hop over the spider. Chachi's going to get away for the time being. 1 or 2 more hits. The Cocoon connects. First blood to Soaz, well executed.
It looked pretty, flashing to get in the hop and then bounce forward, but then you run out of gap closers, and then it is very easy target practice for Amazing. Connects the Cocoon, eventually gets cleaned up.
And this really is the concern now, because you have that pushing top lane, so your jungler is securing vision for them, and he's like trying to stay around the lane in case something happens. But then that bottom lane wants to start pushing out from the ranged champion, the Gnar. Well, Maokai is so good at just setting up this easy gank, and Elise coming in, easier first blood for Origen.
I feel this is Origen working together as the same unit. They push and control the waves on every single lane correctly. Top lane gets pushed, mid lane allows themselves to get pushed, bot lane bounces the wave so the jungler can come in for a gank.
This is where Origen shows they understand where can we sacrifice a little bit in the early game, or where should we then be aware of a potential dive, which is not going to happen so early on. I mean, we're only 5 minutes in, so they knew, play safe top lane, don't risk anything, because the jungler could be there, and then make sure we can make a play on the bottom side.
Well, a big chunk of damage onto Vardax is returned onto Niels, though. And we did see Mithy trying to zone away Hylissang. Just very quickly, 7 games for Mithy on Braum. He's 6-1. The only game he lost was to Gambit in week 8. Mithy's 2-0 against Fnatic when playing Braum. It's just that champion that was first pick this series and continues to grow.
And we can hear John cheer.
Yeah, we're going to see that passive come into play. Concussive blows has been tagged onto Vardag.
Oh.
Flashes away from the cocoon with a stun, spider form, and it is Mithy on Braum that gets the kill. We're not done yet. Chaos Storm onto Peke. He is going to cleanse. Flashes away as well. Follow-up flash from Power of Evil. The Death Ray connects, and PoE has Peke's number.
So once again here, Origen are playing out the early game really well, but then Power of Evil decides he wants to be part of this game as well. Gets a solo kill. Soa's going aggressive in the bottom lane, but Horo's on his way down. This is very aggressive. Your jungler was just on the top side. There's no help for Soa.
Chachi needs to get level 6 though, no Gnar.
Let's find out if he'll get it on these minions. Horos come in. We're in a 1v2. The Twisted Advance comes out. Flash away from the body slam. Somewhat predicted, I feel.
Well played by both sides here. Look at how Soaz was waiting for Horo to potentially body slam. Horo didn't want to body slam aggressively because then you can Twisted Advance through each other. So both teams holding the cooldowns well, but eventually if Soaz plays it out textbook style, he will always get away.
I just like to see how teams are using the jungle information. Amazing goes top to gank. Pavio flashes forward. He's not afraid of chasing that kill onto Peke. And then Source is the guy making the mistake in the bottom lane, going aggressive, with his junglers just been on the top side.
Yeah, Power Evil knew at worst he will trade flash for flash. And that was a good opening. Peke was actually pretty slow on that cleanse. Could have maybe survived if he instant cleansed and flashed away.
Well, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and Peke is 0-1. Again soloed by Power of Evil. This matchup should be more in PoE's favor, though. And we do see a lane swap as Soaz is headed top.
So many times this season, we've seen Power Evil play mid and build a tier first. On amazing. Usually you do this with Miffy. Flash over Cocoon.
Gets past. Repel comes up for a few seconds, but Amazing's going to get run down, I feel. There's a stand behind me. That's a decent Unbreakable. Will block some of the damage. Enough for Niels to get in place, and they save Amazing's life.
That was a mistake from Hylissang. If you want to catch Elise, you use your Q, because if she repels, your Q will not land, therefore you will preserve your stun stack. If you W AoE and you will lose your stun stack. Therefore when she lands, you can no longer catch up, you can no longer stun. Amazing could have died there.
And also him just invading in on his own.
Yeah, that's greedy.
Maybe they've gone to the top side or a bit further up the river, I guess we can say it's Put Award himself. Gets caught up, but Unicorns gets nothing this time around. It's only Power Vivo who's been able to get that early kill. The other lanes are behind from the Unicorns on Love, and now it's their turn to place a deep ward, the pink ward. Horo, he spotted the other one after what, like 10 minutes?
Previous one is around 16 minutes in fact.
Oh, even better.
In game 1, it's placed at 7 minutes, killed at 23 something if memory serves, but we'll find out how much value Unicorns can get from that red buff ward.
It's like a mini game within itself.
Just take a look at the lane, by the way. Every time we see the top, I see Vardex jumping away from Soa.
And look at the swap here Unicorns have made. This is not smart. They're leaving Vardex on his own top side. That means even though Chachi could free farm in this lane, even have a bit of pressure on the Maokai, they're putting him down bottom lane where he can't defend on his own. And Soaz, he's just going to go TP down instead of a potential dive. Unicorns are really losing out right now.
Let's see if Origen can get kills to back up the tower dive. It's been set up. The tower's dropping, and here comes Soaz. The Glacial Fisher comes out from Mithy as he gets stunned. Chachi's nowhere near Mega Gnar. They've traded supports thus far. They will get themselves a kill. One more shot.
Sloppy, sloppy. From the Unicorns, or from Origen rather. Good turnaround there. Hylissang realizing he's going down, so he gets a good Tibbers. That could have been executed way better by Origen.
And I don't even think Origen had to make the play. They were getting a free tower in the bottom lane. It's a Gnar and you're defending. They can't do anything against Corki Braum at this point. And yet you go for the aggressive play, giving up loads of farm top from the Maokai. That would have just been a free tower for Origen, but then again, I'm the old school kind of guy. I don't want to take the risk if it's not necessary.
Looking at Vardex, the poor Vardex, not only does his team not build any support around him, then they leave him 1v1 against the fed Maokai. It's like, yo, this guy's fed. We don't want to deal with him. Vardex, you're the hyper carry. Start carry. It's a little early for that, but luckily for him, Soaz goes to the bottom and OG botch up that dive. But again, that was a play where Origen could have gotten ahead. They're making these tiny mistakes we're not used to seeing from them.
But again, just the whole setup was really weird from the Unicorns of Love. Why would you have that level 6 Tristana in the one-on-one lane where your Gnar was already doing fine? You shouldn't allow Origen just to dictate how the lane phase should look, because that was a free bot lane tower for them, no matter what.
Well, Niels and Amazing, they want to get themselves another tower. Cocoon doesn't connect with Vardags. There is a teleport available for Chachi, and it is going to get channeled. We did see Vardags use the Buster Shot to push Niels away, and they used the TP to save a tower only.
It's okay just taking the tower. You don't have to dive. Niels?
Trying to send a message.
I think we need...
Give me a few more hits on that tower instead.
We need a support AD carry, support group intervention. Hey guys, it is okay to just take the tower.
Take down 3 outer turrets, get the goal from that.
As the play-by-play in the group, I like the tower dives, so just to, throw in a countering opinion. And talking about some countering opinions, I think this is a team composition from Origen that deserves a locket from Unicorns of Love with all of those magic damage.
Good call,
effects.
Trevor. Great call.
And Crepo, I feel strongly about that. We discovered this yesterday. We'll revisit it later in the series. Is Mythy going to take some trades from Chachi? Let's see. Do Origen commit for another dive, or do they accept the tower only?
Well, Koro is sitting back here. He's ready, and he's even showing himself. So this time around, Origen had no choice other than just to hit the tower and then back away.
Origen's composition excels at sieging. However, they have to be careful for potential flash tippers and flanks from Visit Chachi. They have to respect Hylissang, because especially when Power of Evil is around, luckily he's stuck in the mid lane. So I like when Origen groups and throws out these Braum Qs, Cocoons, Rockets, because they can slowly whittle them down. Look for picks. Same way Power of Evil is going down. Soa's back. Why did Soa's back off?
Don't know.
Official?
I mean, maybe Origen realized they've been a little bit too aggressive lately, and they're like, okay, guys, sit back.
3 kills, who wants them?
Just take a little bit easy.
Despite the over-aggression, Origen still have a 2,000 gold lead.
Right, again, the combo from Origen, the thing is, yes, it's very magic damage heavy, but they're not looking to go full late game with this kind of composition. When you play these poke comps, if you can execute them properly and ward your flanks, so as you can fight all you want, I'm not going to stop talking, because when you have these poke comps, if you get ahead and if you play the map correctly, they can be so effective. They can be almost impossible to play against. So it's up to Unicorns of Love to show us coordination in the engage to stop this poke coming from Origen. They're going to get Lute and Zeko on Pekka very soon, and then it's really going to start hurting when Origen groups up. And as long as they ward the flanks, it's all on Hylissang and then Chachi with the Mega Gnar.
And I think we're being, yes, we are being very critical of the mistakes that we're seeing, but we still also have to call out the obvious. 2 towers, an extra kill, 3,000 gold lead. These are all the things Origen have already. Frozen Heart completed, Trinity Force completed, and they've got a poke comp. You have to be ahead with a poke comp in order to make it work. If you can get engaged upon and lose, that's it, you're done. So everything that Origen needed to do has happened, and that pink ward, not as much value as Origen's, but still 5-6+ minutes.
Origen is playing to their strengths, and they're not making the same mistakes they were earlier in the last game. Let's see if they can snowball the lead, finish it out. Obviously, tier 1 towers are incredibly easy to take. It's the tier 2 ones that become incredibly tricky, because they just allow for more flanks, more hard engage, more flash tipperses. Overall, Hylissang now finished up that distortion too, so need to see if they can make that work.
But it is in poke compositions where it tends to be a little bit easier maybe to ward your flanks once you start taking out these outer turrets, because there's like 2 openings near the mid lane, obviously from where the Raptor camp is and where the Wolf camp is. You've got to make sure that is warded properly, and then you should prevent most of the standard flanks coming. So Origen will be very happy getting this map control, and also despite having Pekka die in lane, he's been farming well. And he's not being ganked a second time. So he's doing okay, gets his Lute and Zeko now. He will start having an impact.
And because of the lead that Origen built up, they get the first dragon of the game. It looks like Amazing may actually find Hylissang, and does. Cocoon connects, Volatile Spidling as well. There's a red... Wow! That is a lot of damage. That's twice today. I've been surprised. Amazing's going to look for more. He's applied the red buff. This is going to make Living Artillery so easy to connect. Flash forward, and he might trade 1-for-1. Pekka flashes away to save his life. We've just gone past 15 minutes, and that just exploded.
And this is the wave clear gone now for Unicorns of Love. Power Reaver's down for 20 seconds, so this mid tower is now suddenly open. Horo is trying to defend, but Amazing, he wants something. He wants the Gragas.
Does want the Gragas, Cocoon, and Fisher. Pekka is the one that gets the kill.
And you can see how Unicorns of Love realize that they only have 1 engage, 1 tool to win this match, and that is Hylissang flash tippers. He got caught out. He could have flashed out. He could have tippers to save his life, but he knows if he uses that, he's useless for the next 3.5 minutes. But meanwhile, the Unicorns are dropping 1 by 1 by 1. This time, it's them not respecting the potential catch from Origen. Unlike game 1, it was Origen not respecting the potential catch from the Unicorns.
And it just becomes easier and easier for Origen now to make the right call, because you get so far ahead that even if Unicorns get the right engage, it might not be enough if they keep dropping towers, because the gold will mean a lot. I mean, with 5k gold ahead now, 15 minutes is massive. Soaz is going to be almost unkillable. Vardex will again sit there as the single AD carry trying to hit him. It's not going to work.
And I think Origen is showing that they have definitely the better odds on the blue side in pick and bans, stealing away that Maokai. We need to see Unicorns of Love, if they want that champion pick, prioritize it higher in their draft for sure in the next games. And just overall, Unicorns, too many OP picks, or too many strong picks rather, for them to ban.
And
Not
yet,
getting anything done.
this comp from Unicorns is by no means bad. It's a good composition, but it's now Origen outplaying them in the early game simply. This time around here, Amazing has an impact, and everyone else on Origen's side have been playing out the laning phase really well, except for that one mistake Pekka made. That's about it. And now he has a massive impact in the game. He's been getting the kills.
Yeah, I really like the fact Amazing and Elise this time around finding significantly more ganks and then using it to push down more objectives. We're looking at an inner turret. This is what we said was the hardest. A flash twisted advance. Vardex will go down. It will be Amazing. That's now 2-0-4, involved in 6 out of 8 kills. Chachi's even zoned away from the tower. They get a kill and an inner turret.
And just look at the minimap here. There's a ward spotting 3 guys from Unicorns coming down from the bottom side. Up top, that ward as well to spot the flanks. There's no way for Unicorns to really engage because they're just taking the bot lane tower, and just an easy move for Origen.
Origen are identifying the right objectives, but honestly, the Unicorns are making it easy. They were 3-man sieging a tier 1 tower in the bot while their tier 2 was under siege. Vardex solo has to defend that. Of course he's going to die. Otherwise the tower dies even quicker. Then Origen rotate to the top lane. That tower is going down now, and the gold lead is approaching 7k.
The tower's gonna drop. The Fisher comes out. That will connect the Mega Gnar Chachi. Tower number 5 is down. Peke firing out those living artilleries, finding target after target, and you know, a good turnaround for Origen at 17 minutes in the previous game. It was looking a little scary, and now they've got a massive advantage.
This is what we've been saying in different series too. It doesn't matter if you pick full on meta if you can't play it. Sometimes it is better to stray and pick unique champions. I think Unicorns have over the course of the season went too far in that direction. They went 2 niche champions instead of just playing meta, but right now they picked a composition that should work, but they didn't play around their carries. They left Vardex on an island, they swapped away Healer
That was really weird, yeah.
to defend the Gnar. Chachi doesn't have the same impact, even though he has the winning matchup over Soaz.
Before that swap, Unicorns had an okay time in the laning phase at least, and then suddenly it just went horribly wrong because now Origen had winning lanes all across the board. One thing we see from Origen is how they set up Amazing in the early game though, or how he sets up his own ganks together with the team, because it's so easy for him to pick the right lane with how they're controlling these mini waves, saying, okay, we don't mind getting pushed up top if it means down bottom lane we get control with Amazing, and they really make sure they can use him so effectively. Horo doesn't have the same, it seems like the same synergy, or at least the same early game strategy together with the Unicorns of Love, so it's harder for him to have an impact.
Look at Origen, they're yielding pressure in the top side of the map, but they're pushing mid, they're pushing bot. This is only the 2nd tower they've lost in this entire game. They have 5 already, they're knocking at inhibitor towers already, so Unicorns are just so many steps behind. Whenever they take objectives, or 1 objective, Origen will take 2 in return.
That's exactly what Origen looked to do. They've got an inner turret down bottom, a lot of deep vision in Unicorn's jungle. And you know, we touched on the different jungle impact, and Horo has spent a lot of time trying to focus the mid lane of Peke. We'll get to that in a second as Hillesang has flashed in, put Tibbers down. So as Vengeful Maelstrom is up, damage will be peeled. The Wallop does not connect, and he manages to get away from a 2v1. This means Origen can continue the pressure down bottom. Vardex is in trouble. Can he dodge the skill shot? We will find out. Buster shot comes out, flash forward from Amazing, and the big one from Niels sends the hyper carry home.
Yeah, that Maokai is really not the one you're looking to target if you are the Unicorns a lot with your flash Tibbers. Instead, Origen looking for even more potentially. Pekka at least looking to see if he can land some damage on Power Wheel, but he backs away. So Origen once again, they get the tower, they get kills, get map control, and they can be so happy with how they're playing out this game.
36,000 gold to 28,500 gold. You can see the win-loss records with a lead or deficit in 20 minutes. And for Unicorns of Love, they've had a fair few deficits at 20 minutes, unfortunately. Especially when they were playing some of those more scaling comps earlier in the splits. But I want to go back to the pregame, the first 15 minutes, and just touch on Peke as well. A player who's now looking more comfortable after being ganked, after giving up a kill. He's actually 2-8-4. before 15 minutes across the last 7 games. 8 deaths across 7 games. Whether being ganked, whether poor positioning, different circumstances, but it's something that is being critiqued a lot when you look at Origen.
It does seem to be one of the weak links for Origen overall, that teams can consistently play that strategy and have it pay off. This time, however, Pekka did the right thing. He pushed the lane, level 1 and 2, made it bounce level 3, got it back. He had the support on one side from Amazing. Once he was in the clear, they said, okay, you're safe. Amazing routed to the bottom side of the map where Soa's ending and bounced the wave. So wave control is what got Origen this lead, and their composition is what allows them to snowball the lead in the mid game, leaving Unicorns of Love no chance to come back.
And again, it's a little bit like Vardax on Unicorns of Love in many ways, because Origen does not help Pekka either in the mid lane. This game he died one-on-one, so that was his mistake. But if we look at against Rocket, there was a lot of ganks coming in to help Nukedog. They're making sure he can farm on his own, and then again they play the side lanes so effectively, using Source, using Nils, and then the pressure of Amazing and Mythy. And we don't often see Pekka really have much of an impact before we start hitting team fights. And that's what Origen as a team needs him to do. So as long as he plays safe, he's basically doing his job in the early game.
It's a testament to the team identity, is it not? Origen is a team that doesn't play mid, as you just described. And Power of Evil for the Unicorns is a team that he needs to carry. And when Power of Evil is unable to, it becomes a bit more difficult. But it's even harder for PoE because he doesn't have Soas and Niels in the side lanes, or he doesn't have the map play that we saw from Origen, and we've seen through Origen multiple times.
Now again, Unicorns of Love with their composition, relatively meta, unexpected. They have a clear goal. Usually they want to 4-1, keep the Maokai in check with the Vizichachi split push. That's why he's building these very 1v1 oriented items, but he's too far behind to make that work, so that's out of the equation. They need to find a Flash Tibbers, teleport from behind, Mega Gnar, 4-man. That's like the only way they can win. The Origen have shown in the series already they're so good at gathering information and not allowing that to happen.
And with Horo not getting any gold, really, again, his locket is going to be way too delayed, so the 3 magic penetration boots we see on the side of Origen will have so much value for them. Not really anything Unicorns can do to defend themselves right now. No real way for Horo to get a lot of gold, unless we get that crucial team fight where Unicorns get that flash tables from Hylissang. It has to be a Nils though, because there's a cleanse on the side of Pekka, and they gotta be able to one-shot him instantly.
Well, gentlemen, that split push 1v1 is continuing. We saw that 20 seconds ago, and Soas continues to hold the tower. We actually saw Amazing steal the red buff from full vision of Unicorns of Love. Hylissang's in trouble. Moving artillery, first one connects, but nothing more.
Yeah, and look at how Vizichachi is manhandling Soas, even though Soas is 2-0-2 into a 0-2-2 Gnar. This is the way this matchup is meant to play out. If the early game goes even, this could be snowball effect. Now Horo is forced to face check into the jungle, and they'll keep having to do this. Unless they get 5 scrying orbs, they will have to keep walking in one by one. And if they don't, then Origen can simply start Baron in the dark.
And you cannot give up this Baron here. It's too good on a poke composition. They're doing everything to keep Hylissang away, and that includes killing him. Soas joins in, Pekka has the range, they take the Baron, and now it becomes nearly impossible to do anything when you can't wave clear with your Victor. You buff up these minions. Pokecoms, they want the Baron, they're not great at taking it, but if they play it like this from Origen with that control, it's very, very simple and well played from Origen here.
Yeah, Pokecoms just value so much from Baron, and they just suck against Baron. They really need those Baron creeps, because when everybody's standing still, trying to clear the creeps, it becomes even easier for you to land your poke. You have so much more time. Now we see Niels going against Chachi. He can take his sweet time because Soas, top right of your screen, is flanking. This should be a dead Gnar.
It's going to be. It's just a matter of time. Concussive Blows comes out as well. That's going to give the stun. X-Drinker comes out. Chachi even uses the Mega Gnar, but doesn't find a stun. And Origen at 24 minutes continue to accelerate their lead. Looking to finish this one convincingly. You know, from what I've seen from Origen's Baron calls, yesterday against Rocket and now today against UOL, it feels like they've studied Fnatic's earlier Baron calls a little bit more, because they've had relatively low-risk Baron plays when they have had advantages or map play that has allowed them to do it, as Origen looks to secure another turret on the map.
Yeah, Chachi's dead still. He's gonna respawn now, but he's in mini now. He has no ulti even if he goes Mega and engage from Soas.
Soas jumps all the way into Hylissang, the primary initiator for the Unicorns of Love. The base is broken in middle and bottom lane. Inhibitors are being rushed down by Origen. There is nothing Unicorns can do. There are too many threats on too many fronts, and Origen say they want to finish this one now. Supers are spawning in 2 lanes. They're just going to let the Baron Impart minions get to the Nexus. Still a third of the timer on that buff, by the way. And then they can look to finish in the next wave or two.
Origen have so much magic damage. They have a composition that cannot fall behind. So yes, it was very risky. But the way they've been playing out the early game, they've been outplaying Unicorns of Love. They haven't been able to use Hylissang at all on this Annie, really. We haven't seen any sort of engage. It's basically just falling behind the laning phase. Makes it so easy for Pokemon to start grouping. And there's so little you can do against it.
But I very much so prefer composition that is risky in the sense that it can fall off at a certain point. At least you can play to win. If we compare it to game 1 where Origen played against Rocket, they played a composition that only comes online after 25 to 30 minutes with 0 wave clear and 3 split pushers. That was way more risky in my opinion. So I like at least that they're going for an identity here that they can play out. And they did it beautifully. And props to Amazing, honestly, for orchestrating this early game, being in the right place at the right time, snowballing to correct lanes. And then the remaining Origen members being careful. And now, yeah, all what's left is...
This needs to work. This has to work for Unicorns of Love.
Denied.
Been scouted. Hylissang's in trouble. He manages to stun Niels, but that is all that will happen. Pege is spitting everything he's got. He's chugging the living artillery's Power of Evil has cleansed away. Still has Flash. Here comes Soaz in the middle. Megandar's going to be hopping away defensively as Buster Shot boots Soaz back to the goals. Unicorns have lost their support. Hylissang, Chachi gets away with a sliver of health. And Origen, they've got a banner-empowered cannon minion behind them. It's now melee range. Takes down another turret, another inhibitor. And that's an engage on Power of Evil. You can't get away from Origen. 13-3 at 27.5 minutes. Origen initiate the final push. Origen are looking to go 2-0 in this best of 5, and only a few towers remain. Hylissang's down. Chachi may follow shortly. Let's see what Origen prioritize. Soaz has caught him. Look at those living artilleries. You need the kills, you need the stats. It's an ace for Origen. It's 2-0 in the regional qualifiers, and Origen are one Nexus away from the World Championships.
And the difference between game 1 and 2 couldn't honestly be bigger. Swapping sides. Origen coming out with a different strategy here. Just going pretty cookie cutter, straightforward. Double poke, aggressive jungler, making picks, vision control. And the Unicorns, they can't afford to make those early game mistakes when they play a composition like this. They need to play to their strengths and hide their weaknesses. That swap that we highlighted earlier where Hylissang went down to the bottom to help the Gnar. Just, yeah. Was it the symptom or an actual result of just poor shot calling?
But the thing is, you have this composition that works really well. That should be able to work into poke. You never get a chance to really use it because, again, you make so many mistakes in the early game. We get to see, though, they knew Victor was coming from Power of Evil. So, like, okay, what's good against Victor? Long-range poke. So we start building this comp. They got Braum first pick from it as well. The Gangplank ban is, again, also basically Unicorn showing to me we have nothing to play against it. So we can't even risk them first picking Gangplank and then we get Braum in first rotation. It's not going to work for us because we won't be able to beat Soaz. So that's really a massive problem. Unicorns have now to go back on blue side. They have to win the pick and ban phase, and they have to play way better in the early game. Otherwise, we get a repeat of this.
The thing is for Unicorns, they are looking a little better than we have seen in recent weeks. Actually, both of the teams today, Origen and Unicorns, have played the exact 3 teams throughout the course of playoffs in our regional qualifiers. It includes Rocket, H2K, and Fnatic. And over the course of those series, Unicorns looked worse and worse, really, until these 2 games. They're now playing meta. They are playing those maps. But the problem is it's come too late in the season. It's come too late to learn. We've seen now mistakes in the gameplay that you simply are way more difficult to fix from game 1 to 2 than we had, if you'd had several weeks to practice them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people expected Origen to be the big favorite going into this year. They were the second best team in Europe after really showing what they could do against Fnatic, beating H2K in the semifinal. So it is tough to suddenly expect Unicorns to be able to beat Origen. But we saw in game 1, I mean, they can catch them out of position. They can play really well. They just need to be able to do it even further or even more because closing out the game is then the second part.
So giving some hope to fans. We'll see whether or not Unicorns can fix some of the problems coming into the third match. Origen is just 1 win away for qualifying for the World Championships in 2015. Unicorns, they need to stop them in Game 3 to keep their season alive, or they're going on an early vacation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
X-Paco is not famous enough.
X-Paco. Fnatic is bigger than X-Paco.
Fnatic.
X-Paco! They only have 1 more million followers than me on Facebook. But I have more than them on Twitter, so I got that going, which is nice.
Amazing may actually find Hylissang and does. Cocoon connects, Volatile Spidling as well. There's a red. Wow! That is a lot of damage. Bardax is in trouble. Can he dodge the skill shot? We will find out. Buster shot comes out. Flash forward from Amazing. And the big one from Niels.
Okay, good job. Back off again. No, I have my E. No, I have it.
Gragas. Oh man. So good shot calling.
Shut the grab.
It's 2-0 in the regional qualifiers. And Origen are 1